Welcome to the Grown Up Geeks first episode of our newest podcast. We don't have a name for this one yet. We're working on it, so we're just going to call it the Grown Up Geek Podcast. If you have a better name, listen to the end of the show. We have an email. You can send us your suggestions. But if this is your first experience with the Grown Up Geek, welcome. We are a new website. We are just getting started. We have all kinds of content for you out there, whether it's reviews, news, TV, tech, movies, the whole nine yards. We're doing more than just video games. If you know us from our old website, Pixel Perfect, this is a much bigger venture than what we did before. But I don't want to get into too much detail with that. I do encourage you to check out the site. We have new content rolling out on a regular basis, so please check it out. Please comment. Please share it with your friends. We definitely want to build a community and get some cool stuff going. But what you're here for is the podcast. And this week, we're starting off with a podcast just about E3. This podcast is going to be about more than video games, but we are starting with E3 because we just so happened to launch the site right before E3 started, and this was the best way to get some E3 content out there since we know how much our audience does enjoy video games. So, Devin and Jared and myself, we talked for a few hours about the different press conferences, Microsoft, Sony, Nintendo, and even a little bit Bethesda, Ubisoft, EA, and that kind of stuff. So if video games are your thing, this is definitely a podcast you're going to want to listen to. In the meantime, when you're done listening, share it with your friends. We are on Twitter at The Grown Up Geeks. We're on Facebook, The Grown Up Geek. We have a Pinterest that we're starting. We're trying to get out there as much as possible. So I'm not going to keep you guys too much longer. I'm going to let you get to the good stuff. So here's the first episode of our new podcast. Enjoy.
All right, well, we'll try that out. We'll just kick it off here. We'll talk about E3 2015.
Woo, E3!
Yeah, it's a wonderful time of the year. The year that we all love, that we all wait for.
We should have been there.
Not this year. Next year. We will be there.
I miss E3. Oh my god,
This was the year to go, man.
This was a good year, I think.
It was a great year. I was really...
Yeah.
I wasn't expecting to be blown away as many times as I was, and there were a number of times where I was just like, wow. And it's been a long time since I said wow. I think it was when we went was the last time I said.
Yeah, pretty much. There hasn't been a very good E3 in a while. We went in 2012, and now it's 2015. So, like, there hasn't been a good E3 for quite some time. And this is the first one where I feel like we actually have some exciting games coming down the line, and there's a reason to have these new consoles.
And there were some different things happening this year. Like, Bethesda had their own show, which they had never done before. And I don't know, I mean, when we went, was that the last time Nintendo did an actual press conference, or was the digital event something new they did this year?
No, they did a digital event last year, and I can't remember if they did one in 2013. But yeah, when we went, they still had the regular auditorium show. Which
I was really glad we got to go to. That kind of takes, I feel like that takes something away if one of the big three is just like, forget it.
I don't know. I feel like Nintendo has done a lot better with their digital events than they ever did at any of those press events.
With Nintendo, it's about the kitsch, and you can do a lot more kitsch when it's pre-recorded.
Yeah, and they have all their Treehouse Live stuff afterward. That's great. We're not going to get into that because I don't think any of us watched any of that stuff.
I watched a little bit of it, but it looked like it was just like 7.5 hours of just people playing the games. I thought there would be a little bit more, order to it, but I watched a little bit of it. I didn't really.
That's pretty much all it was last time. They were just playing the games and talking about them more.
Yeah.
So let's kick it off with Bethesda. They happened the first Sunday, the first day of the week, the 14th or whatever it was. They held their first press conference this year, which they definitely warrant it because they're big enough and they have enough games coming out that it makes sense.
Plus, everybody only wanted to hear about one of them.
Sure, but no, I think they had some pretty good reveals.
Nah, 2. Maybe 3.
Yeah, I think there was. I mean, the big one obviously was Fallout 4 that everyone wanted to see.
I think, and I'm just throwing this out there before we talk too much about it, I think Fallout 4 just kind of became the game of the show because you couldn't escape it no matter where you went. It just seemed like.
Well, that's the problem because they already leaked it.
Yeah, well, but it just was. Like Todd, whatever, what was his name? Todd
Howard.
He was like, every time I turned on my television, Todd Howard was on with, no matter who it was, YouTube or whoever else he was talking to. I just got like so sick and tired of him. by the end of the show. I was like, for God's sakes, I get it. Fallout 4. I was excited, and Todd Howard, you have taken some of my excitement from me just by being around too much.
I actually really like Todd Howard.
I like him a lot as well.
You're both fired.
I didn't get tired of him or anything like that whenever he was presenting Fallout 4. I think he did it in a pretty good way, actually.
Yeah, I actually watched every interview that I could find, mostly because I'm really excited about Fallout 4, but yeah, I didn't mind it.
Do you guys want to start with Fallout 4 then, since that's sort of where we ended up?
Yeah, we're already there. We might as well talk about it. It's probably the biggest game that they showed at Bethesda, but yeah, let's kick it off with that.
I mean, I'm excited for it only because it's returned back to the same kind of feel of Fallout 3. I didn't like New Vegas. That's just me. I played it. I beat it. I just didn't. I didn't.
I'm with you,
I didn't like it
Justin.
as much as 3.
New Vegas is objectively better.
Jared would argue against that, of course.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. As far as like the natural progression of games, it was better at a technical level than 3, but it was still Bethesda glitchy. And I don't know. The story ends about 6 hours into the game, and then it goes on for another 30 hours that it doesn't need to go on for. So but Fallout 4 looks cool. I mean, I think that now that we have talking protagonists, it's going to take I think it takes the game in a whole different direction. It takes the personality out of it. Yeah, I can make my own guy. And that was really cool. I know you guys saw it, but that whole like in the mirror making the guy thing.
Yeah.
That was cool.
That was a really neat way for them to do that.
But I think talking protagonist is going to change it a little because that's not me anymore. You know?
Yeah, that is actually really true. Like, why spend that time making yourself, and then you're like somebody else's voice just speaks for you? That's weird.
I don't know. This is a larger conversation, but do you guys really put yourself, like, do you really think, like, that's me? Because every time I make a character in a game, I always make them look stupid. I never be like, this is the digital version of me, and I'm actually running through the wasteland. It's like, I'm running around with this really deformed, dumb-looking person.
I don't know about you, but it depends on the game. Like, if it's, like, Saints Row, I just screwed around. I was like, whatever. I'll just make this crazy looking. And then I think at one point I changed myself into a girl, and then I changed myself back into a guy. I mean, games like that, I don't care. But games I really get into, like Fallout or Mass Effect, those ones...
Well, story-heavy games, mostly.
I feel more attached to the decisions I'm making when it looks like me in the game.
Well, that doesn't bother me, but I think I'm glad they moved in a voice-acted direction. Not because like I can't read or anything like that, but I think I personally think it adds more to it.
It's not because
I'm an idiot.
I can't read.
Yeah.
No, I think it adds more to the game having the voice acting there. Personally,
yeah. One thing that's interesting, I think, that when they do add the voice acting and they give the options that you can choose from, it's different because you don't really know how things could play out. Given the short, 4 or 5 words they give you to choose from. The same thing happens in The Witcher 3 when you play that game. Like, you don't know exactly what's going to happen by the options that are presented, because he doesn't read it word for word, you know what I mean?
That actually caused me, like, Fallout was the first game that I played, Fallout 3, I think was the first game I played where I ran into that, and I started that game over so many times, because I was, like, trying to go and do, like, all this super good stuff and become this very specific kind of stat character, and I would read a sentence that was like 5 or 6 words and be like, oh, that sounds relatively tame. And then I would say it, and like everybody in a 10-foot radius would turn on me and start shooting. I'd be like, well, God damn it. What the hell did I say? And then I'd have to start the whole thing over.
Are we sure that's how it is, Devin?
What?
Are you sure it's that way, where it's not reading the straight dialogue?
I just assume that because it's a very, very small picture, and like you have all 4 options in that very small area, and it's just like a few words.
And most games
don't
do that anymore. Most games are all, it's a general gist, and then the character says something
and you
else.
elaborate on it. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I don't know. In previous games, they had the whole thing. It said the exact thing you were choosing.
Right.
One of the neat things they said about the dialogue is, I heard this in one of the interviews with Todd Howard, is that the dialogue, you can, instead of it freezing the world the way it did before, it's much more organic, and you can just go up and walk up and have a conversation with someone. But if, let's say you're talking to an NPC and you turn to your left and you start doing something, the NPC will stop and like wait for your response, or wait for you to look back at them before they continue talking. So it's like they actually know whether you're looking at them. You could, and Todd said you can even start 2 conversations. So if you have 2 NPCs right next to each other, you could talk to one and then turn to the other one, start talking to them, and then as you go back and forth looking
So
at them,
rude.
it'll continue their conversation. Basically, yeah.
But it's not going to be like a fluent conversation between 3 people. It's just going to be like a staggered back and forth.
Well, I don't know. I don't know if there might be something like that in there, but he was just saying that's possible.
I think, all right, so my 2 problems with that. One, Bethesda glitches in games. I just feel like there's going to be some time where, like, I'm talking to someone and I turn to the left to do something and I turn back and they're, like, half clipped into a wall, or they disappear right before they tell me something important. That's number 1. And number 2, in a game where in the world they have something like the VAT system that freezes all of the action and allows you to take your time in making selections and really going out of your way in a super unrealistic way to proceed through, like, the game's core combat mechanic, I feel like something like dialogue not freezing the world is an odd choice. That never bothered me as much as, I mean,
I don't think it's an argument for realism. I think it's just something to add. I don't know. Maybe it was just a different design choice. I don't really know the
that way you're
reasoning
not
behind
stuck
it.
in a dialogue choice. You can just walk away if you want to.
well, I think if you make it,
keep closing and closing.
but if you make a dialogue choice and then you wander away, the guy is still going to wait for you to come back, and then he's going to, or I mean, how much? That seems so complicated. What if I talk to, like, let's say I say something to NPC 1, and then I walk away, and I go and I do like 6 missions, and then I come back, and the guy's like, and the guy's like, oh yeah, and so shoes.
He's just yelling for you the whole time. Hey,
It's just like,
So anyway, what do you think of that?
It's like, wait, I was talking to you? Shit, I didn't realize it. I'm so sorry.
I'm pretty sure there's going to be like a radius that once you leave it just ends the conversation and they just go about their business.
And it probably repeats next time you talk.
I don't know. I don't feel like it's a change for the worse. That's
No,
for
it's
sure.
not a change for the worse. It's just one of those things where I'm just like, I don't know, whatever.
Now, you mentioned VATS, which VATS has actually changed this time around, where it doesn't actually freeze the combat altogether.
Oh, it doesn't?
Things are actually still moving.
I want
but
to
they
believe
move at
that
a
Devin
much...
didn't just sneeze. He just got his head blown off by VATS.
Yeah, I was like, oh man, I should have muted that. I turned my head, but
I just heard a sneeze, but it sounded like you got your head freaking blown off. Anyway, go on. So it doesn't freeze the action.
Yeah, so it doesn't freeze the action.
slows it down.
It slows it down. Things are still moving, so it's a little bit more of a. It's not a panic situation. It slows it down fairly to a fairly slow speed, but it's still moving, and you could still get attacked. You can still attack other things. So I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing yet.
I have to give it a shot and see how it feels. Now I know you guys are probably going to be like all super into this. I'm not big on the new building towns and having to defend them thing. Jared, you and I we were basically watching the press conference at the same time, and I know you were like, oh yeah, that seems really cool. To me, it feels like Fallout, Minecraft, and I guess I've just never wandered.
What is wrong with that?
I've never wandered through the wasteland in a Fallout game and seen like a dilapidated house and been like, I could do something with that.
Well, I don't think there's a lot of people, I know a lot of people that when they play these open world games, they really like to make their own structures. Like one of the big things, it was even part of DLC, and you'll see it in a lot of mods when it comes to the Elder Scrolls games, where people will allow you to have like custom structures so that people can have their own buildings. It's a big part of like kind of like making your home within these games. I'm not saying that's personally something I'm really excited about, but the idea of building up a town and having NPCs move into
that's
it,
cool.
I don't know. I like management stuff. I like management games. So that stuff
It'd be cool
is
if you got people like to fight
exciting to me.
along with you then too. Like,
But they
actually
do.
build up,
I mean,
like, kind of like an army or something.
Well, I mean,
That'd be cool.
they fight with you in the towns that you build. You have to you can
Yeah.
build defenses and stuff.
Because people attack you. That'd be.
But
kinda cool.
you guys remember the game Dark Cloud on the PS2?
Yeah.
Like, I liked that, where you had to build the town piece by piece back to what it was, and people could tell you where they wanted their stuff, and you could rearrange it, try to get 100% rebuild and stuff like that. I enjoyed that, but I just feel like, and here's the thing, I'm not big on Minecraft, so, I don't think it was something that was made to appeal to me, but I'm curious if I don't build will that affect my overall game? Will it affect the story? And then...
No, it's completely optional. He already
But
said that.
Yeah, it seems pretty
So then
optional.
if I don't build, do I have to defend anything? Like, do I?
No.
Because, like, my least favorite part of Assassin's Creed Revelations was when they added the Stronghold
was
defense.
everything.
Well, I mean, no, but the defense, the Stronghold defense, where if you didn't defend it, you lost it. Or if you defended it poorly, you lost it, and then you had to reclaim it. I really didn't, I was just like, oh man, this is going to be just like, I'm constantly going to have to worry about my establishments and go back and be like, are you guys okay? No bad guys took you over. None of you are...
No bad guy said anything mean to you today.
Yeah, I mean, do you need me to do it? I was in the middle, diffusing that atom bomb, but I heard a rumor that there were some rad roaches around here. Do you need an exterminator? Yeah, that to me,
It's like a Fallout porn.
You should
or
have to
something.
come back and kill rad roaches. Because
No, I
I can't
know.
do that.
I couldn't think of a better. I was Wastelanders,
Raiders,
Death
yeah.
Claws.
Death Claws. Oh my god, that would
Yeah,
suck.
they
An organized band of Death Claws came and took over your town. You go into the pharmacy, it's like, I don't know, you don't look like Steve.
I guess there's a balance to that. I don't think you should be getting invaded your territories every 10 minutes or whatever. That would suck. So
I don't think we
they
know
have to
enough
figure that
about it
out.
to really make a decision either way. But I don't know. It's intriguing to me. It gives you more access to the world to do a lot more with the world and kind of make the world more your own.
Yeah, it's
Which
not
it seems
static.
like that's some. Yeah. Well, and there's a whole new crafting system. They kind of showed that off as well. They kind of went quickly through it, but it looks like you can craft a ton of different things, weapons and junk like that.
Which you couldn't do before at all, really, right? You couldn't really craft.
In Vegas, there was some light crafting.
Yeah, there was weapon crafting, wasn't there? Some light
Yeah,
weapon crafting?
and even then, it was. I mean, it
There
wasn't
was some
anything crazy.
light foreplay.
Yeah, this is a lot more deeper where you can get all different kinds of materials throughout the world and make different weapons, right?
Yeah.
Or you couldn't do that before, could you?
No,
Mm,
not to
not
that,
really.
not to the extent that they showed.
Get schematics and stuff.
Well, yeah. Some of that existed before, but not to the level it does now. So, just so you know, the dog companion cannot die.
Yeah, I'm glad about that because I felt like that was just emotional terrorism, but it was sort of a trade-off because then you have they were like, yeah, you make you and then you can make your wife, and then the game is so smart that it'll actually make a baby that looks like you and your wife. And then I swear, Jared, didn't I type to you right after that? And then the baby can die.
Yeah, something about...
Yeah, and
something
I
like
knew it. I was like, and then the baby dies because you don't put a baby in a video game that, with this baby's going to live to an old age and have a very full life and not suffer or any. No, either the baby or the dog or some defenseless thing that you care a lot about is going to die.
I'll tell you right now, I don't give a crap about that baby.
No, I mean,
Go ahead.
neither do I.
Blow that baby up.
Did that baby die?
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah, because when you wander out of he even says in the thing, he goes, we're not going to say why, but, we're going to fast forward and you're going to come out and you are the lone survivor of Vault 111.
Well, and it's been 200 years.
Yeah, how
so
does
I
that
don't
work?
know.
How
They
are you
don't tell
200
you.
years older?
Because
What the
it's
heck?
We don't know.
cryogenesis, I'm sure. That's an easy,
Yeah.
they're just going to explain it. You were frozen.
You are the baby.
So,
It transferred
the
your
vault
soul
you
to
had
the
with
baby.
all the supplies and food and everything had cryogenesis.
We don't know, Devin. We don't know.
Why don't you ask Todd Howard? He'll probably come over your house.
I just thought that was weird. He was like, 200 years later, you emerge from the vault. I'm like, you'd be dead.
No, this is the future. Anything's possible. So let's move on from Fallout 4. We spent quite a bit of time on that.
We were
Fallout
talking
Shelter.
about Fallout Shelter.
Yeah, did either of you guys play that?
I actually have been playing it for a few days now.
It is the bomb.
So real quick, Fallout Shelter was, if you didn't watch the press conference, Fallout Shelter is a free, currently iOS only, but it's coming to Android, free game that is kind of like a I mean, you guys can go into the details of what it is, but it seems like some type of management thing.
You ever play Tiny Tower? It's like Tiny
Yes.
Tower, but it's Fallout Tiny Tower. You build a vault and you manage everybody in it. You give them jobs that they want, and you give them places to live, and that's what it is. And it was definitely broken the day it came out, but it's better now. They fixed it.
Regardless, I think that's a really smart move to be like, hey, we have all this Fallout footage, and it's like, oh, we have this Fallout Shelter game, and you can get it right now. I think that's always a great move.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh yeah, I mean, you want to give, it's the drug dealer
For
game.
free.
The first taste is always free. But luckily they don't do pay gates, they don't do energy, and there's no purchases to continue playing. I think you can buy lunch boxes with cards in them, but you don't have to, which is the that kind of very successful Hearthstone model where you can play and get cards and get further in the game, and you don't have to buy it, but you can if you want to make it better. But I've been playing it for about 4 days now, and I'm sort of done with it.
Really?
I just, there's a selection of about 25 different rooms, and you can build the different rooms based on how many people you have, and the more you do, the more people show up, and you can send people.
You have a big vault?
I built like 10 rooms in my vault, a couple places for people to live, and then I rearranged it so I could make like my rooms double rooms, and and I played around with it for a little bit, but it ended up, I got to a point where I was like, okay, I built some rooms, I have some guys, I sent a couple guys off into the wasteland, and everything I read about it, they were like, yeah, they come back, but my guys still haven't come back, and they're not dead. I checked on them, they're not dead, they're killing rad roaches and stuff like that.
Is there an end game to this, though? I know
No.
you kind of graded every day, but in the end, what's the point? It's fun for a time period. But...
Yeah, that's it. It's just you're the overseer of your own vault, and then that's what happens. Eventually, bad guys start attacking, and you can arm your guys, and they'll fight back, and you collect the cards that give you weapons and outfits, and it's Tiny Tower. I mean, that I got real into, there was Tiny Death Star for a while, and it was Tiny Tower on the Death Star, and you built, tons of floors, and people wanted to come and work on your Death Star, and it was very important that you gave them the jobs that made them happy. And the only thing they added in this game that isn't in Tiny Tower is that you can put people in a room, in a bedroom, and they get to know each other, and then they have sex, and then they have a baby. But
Nice.
The only thing is, I got two of the women in my vault got pregnant.
Heck yeah.
I should probably, I'm glad I got two of the women in my vault pregnant, is what I was going to say. No, two women in the vault got pregnant, and I just, there were rooms that needed employees, and I had the dad and the mom in the bed, they stayed in the house. And I was like, well, crap, I need employees. So then I took the dads and I put them in the different rooms that needed employees. And I was like, well, I wonder if if it's going to take longer for the baby to be born if you don't keep them both in the same room. So then I put the pregnant moms to work because they were just walking around the rooms not doing anything.
Jeez,
and then
lazy.
and then I felt bad about putting them to work. And I think to date they still haven't had their kids yet. And you want them to have the kids because the more people you have in the vault, the more rooms you can get. And I think, as far as I've come to understand it, I think there's a classroom, but I think the kids grow up really fast, and they can, and then you have new adults to put to work.
Ain't the truth.
I don't know. I mean, it was fun. It was nice to have. I know. I just accidentally kneed my desk. Ow. No, it was fun for a few days, and I got that little bit of that feel for Fallout and being like, oh, I can't wait. Now I played a little bit of pseudo Fallout and I'm really interested, but I'm probably done. I'll go back to it maybe once or twice, but I don't. What about you, Devin? I don't think I'm going to play it again.
Yeah, that's a big problem for me with games in general. If there's not an end goal in mind, I lose interest really quickly. So once you start realizing that, I'm like, it's fun for a while, but it's just I can just stop whenever because it's not going to matter. It doesn't mean anything to me to get a grade A every day. So, but what I really like about it is kind of like the anticipation for Fallout 4, of course, because it looks very similar as far as the layout, and it uses what's that little guy's name, that little character?
Vault Boy.
Just called Vault Boy. Yeah.
Or is he called Pip? No, it's not.
No,
Pip Boy is the
Boy.
thing.
Yeah.
He's the Vault. He's the Vault Boy. Vault Tech Vault Boy.
But I also like management games kind of like this, to an extent. I play, maybe an hour or two a day, and but visually it looks pretty good too. It looks great on my phone. And other than that, I don't know how much more I'm going to play it.
Yeah, I play it on my iPad Air. It's very pretty. They definitely nailed the Fallout style visuals. But yeah, I don't know. I just a lot of the things people were saying when the game first came out is that you needed 14 people to get to the next room, and the game would stop giving you people at 12 people, and then you were just stuck with 12 people, and you couldn't advance through the game. And much like me, you would send people out into the wasteland and they just never come back on their own. But, anyway, since we were talking about Fallout and building and stuff, that kind of is a natural transition into Doom with that snap map. Yep. That seems to be the big thing, is build your own everything this year. Snap map, Fallout structures, vaults. That's Bethesda's big thing. If you can dream it, you can build it.
Yeah. So yeah, they showed off Doom. They showed this in a very closed thing at QuakeCon. So I guess we saw just the same thing everyone got to see at QuakeCon. But they finally showed it to the public. We saw a little bit of the campaign. Saw some brutal melees and different weapon choices. And saw a little bit of the multiplayer, very short multiplayer. And then yeah, they showed snap maps, which is basically just build your own custom maps.
That is for like campaign as well, right? You can put enemies in there. It's not like just multiplayer match, like a Forge type thing.
Yeah, I think it goes either way.
Well, I mean, I think it's designed for multiplayer, but I think you can make like a campaign mission out of it as opposed to just traditional versus multiplayer.
I mean, what is campaign in Doom other than building like corridors and enemies coming out of somewhere? So
I'll tell you, I hope they do with Snap Map what they're doing with the Fallout stuff, where you on Xbox One, where anybody who plays it on the PC and makes their own mod, you can access that on the Xbox One. That's huge.
Yeah.
To give that up. I mean, not that like PC is a company that's giving it up, but that's a big deal. Because, I mean, imagine how much replayability there would have been. Like Portal 2, for example. If you would have been able to access the Portal 2 stuff on your Xbox, that game would have had like nearly endless shelf life.
Yeah, that stuff's going to be highly curated, though, so I don't know how well... There's a lot of questions to be had about that, which we can talk about that in just a minute here. But did you have any... does anyone care about the new Doom? Like, are you excited to see that? Or
I'm going to play it. I mean, it looked pretty. And, you know, it's been a while since I've said Doom looked pretty. So I'm definitely, you know, it'll be a game that I rent or borrow, you know, or, you know, I'm not gonna probably buy it unless I really, really like it. But I don't know. I think Doom will always have a little special place in my heart because it was the first FPS, that and the original, you know, Wolfenstein 3D. Those are two games I think I'll just always play the games that are iterative from those series just to see if they're doing anything as new as what their original games did for console gaming.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. It looks real nice. I think it looks pretty, and it's definitely got some brutal combat. But I don't know if they have people there who can create the original Doom games were awesome for a reason, and they're still awesome if you go back to them. They're solid games, but they were very simple, basic games. And when you stretch that out into a bigger game like what they're trying to do with this, I'm afraid they don't know how to do that.
Yeah, I don't think Doom ages well. I don't think they know how to. You know,
I think the original Doom ages well, but I don't feel like...
Well, yeah, that one does, but like they're trying to be iterative on it, and it's not working.
Right.
What is there to age? I mean, the point of Doom is you blast demons.
Yeah, but now there's more to games now.
Who cares about that anymore?
There's more to it now. Like
that's Serious
just one part
Sam
of
and Painkiller, like those are the same type of games, but no one really cares about that stuff anymore. There's a very small sect of people who are into that, but for the most part, it's not. Like they have to do more than that to get anything out of the mainstream group of people who are going to play shooters. I'll
tell you this though, watching the Doom trailer or the gameplay at E3 and seeing like the really stylized finishing moves and the really creative ways you can go about dismembering guys, it reminded me a lot of Bulletstorm. Like just a really prettied up kind of, without the dialogue and everything. It just seemed very, like, they drew a lot of their inspiration from Bulletstorm, it seemed to me. That's just what it kept bringing to me when I was watching them play.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, hopefully they can throw some personality in there like that and add more to it.
Yeah, the main Doom characters never really had personality. I think they're just a soldier. You're a Marine.
Well, yeah, but that's what I mean. Like, that they have to have something more than just cool killing, because that's going to get old.
Is that the sequel to Cool Running?
Yeah, cool runnings, cool killings. That's what they did when they had...
The Jamaican bobsled team has to become a highly skilled group of assassins.
Yeah, when the bobsledding wasn't working out, they started killing people.
They have to go back in time and kill Hitler at the Olympics.
Mecha Hitler.
Mecha Hitler.
So, is there anything else from Bethesda's conference that you think is worth talking about?
I mean, Dishonored 2 looked okay, but we
don't know anything.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it wasn't gameplay, but it was cool to kind of see the trailer, and they added Emily as a playable character. But I have so many problems with Dishonored at a personal level, I guess, because Dishonored came out the year we went to E3, and it was definitely the game of the show for me, and I was so incredibly impressed with it. And then when I played it when it came out, I was so incredibly let down by it in so many ways that it was definitely a game I didn't want a sequel to, and it wasn't a game I really thought needed or could have had a sequel, and yet here we are. And
I don't know, it did very well both critically and commercially, so it's definitely I don't know, I love Dishonored. I think when it first came out, I actually didn't like it, and then I gave it another chance, and I really, really, really liked it a lot. So they didn't show... I don't care. I understand why they do it. I understand why companies have cinematic trailers, but I just don't care. Like, I want to see details of the game.
Yeah.
yeah,
I want to see gameplay. I want to know more. It's like, cool, we get to play as Emily, a character that really has no personality. She was just a little kid. I don't give a crap.
It's almost worth not mentioning at an event like that. She's like, hey, Dishonored 2's coming out sometime next year. Like, that's not even... Oh, here's a trailer.
Yeah.
It's not even
just letting us know that Dishonored 2 is coming is cool.
Yeah.
And giving us sometime in 2016, that's a cool idea. But yeah, I don't know. I guess the trailer's fine. Some people like to see that, but I personally don't care. Well, speaking of Dishonored, the original one, we're also getting a definitive edition.
I'm not talking about
which
that.
Is great because we need more remakes.
Those are three that literally you could not put three words more upsetting together for me than Dishonored Definitive Edition. I'm so sick and tired of definitive editions, and like I just said, I wasn't a big fan of Dishonored. But anyway, I told you.
You're crazy. Dishonored's great.
I don't like Definitive Edition. That kind of stuff is retarded. Like, really? You gotta really redo things after a year or two?
Hey, it wasn't that bad. Like this, so far we'll move on to something else. But this year hasn't been, you looking ahead at what's coming up, it doesn't look that bad as what it's been. Up until this point, this console generation has been pretty terrible about remakes. But we got a lot of new IPs this year, a lot of interesting things coming up. So while that may be dumb, at least it's not it wasn't a common thing we saw here at the press conferences, I thought.
I just want some innovation, that's all.
Well, you're going to get some, my friend, and some of the other games we're going to talk about. Let's talk about... I should be in PR.
Come get some.
Let's talk about Microsoft's conference, because I think there's some pretty awesome stuff, some pretty crazy stuff that we saw at Microsoft's conference.
The Xbox One is backwards compatible. Yeah.
Yay, I guess. Who cares?
I was under the impression like it didn't have the hardware inside it to be backwards compatible.
It's just an emulator. They're just going to put an emulator in the system.
Yeah, well, a lot of times what they'll do, they will do the hardware, because it's a lot harder to software emulate than put the hardware in there. But the hardware is expensive. It makes the console, that's why a lot of consoles aren't backwards compatible. But Microsoft kind of needs this in a number of different ways. They need people to pick up the Xbox One. So they are software emulating this.
I'm okay with that.
I saw an interview with Phil Spencer, and he
How
was
many
talking
different
about,
shirts did he wear?
How difficult? Just one in this one.
Oh, wow.
But he was talking about how difficult it was to do this. So what they're doing is this winter we're getting 100 Xbox 360 games that are going to be backwards compatible. The way it works is, as long as you have the disc, you can put the disc in. It'll be like, hey, you got this game. Now you can download it from the marketplace, and you can download that, and then it'll be on your system, and you can play it.
And you won't need the disc anymore after that.
I assume so.
That's one thing I love about it, that they're not making you re-buy games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unlike Sony.
PlayStation Now, yeah.
Yeah, they make you rebuy the game, which is stupid.
Yeah. I don't know. I got excited. Like, when the announcement came out, I was like, oh, that's it. Microsoft wins. Backwards compatibility. And then I thought about it, a little bit later, and I was like, it's cool. Like, I'm really glad they're doing it. But, I didn't keep a lot of my Xbox 360 games, so I'm going to have to buy the games anyway. Or I guess, in my case, working for GameStop, I can, like, check the game out and then pop it in my system. And, it's
I was going to wonder,
rent the game.
Is that something they're going to be able to defend against?
No, because, I mean, maybe if it's a rental game, there'll be some kind of thing that the companies can do. But I mean, for, like, GameFly, how are they going to battle against GameFly? You pop the disc in, you must have this game. People are just going to load their queue up on GameFly with the 100 titles.
Maybe there's like a code or something like that where it generates and like you can only use that and then put onto that disc.
But that would mean they'd have to go backwards and do that to all the 360 games.
I feel like that might be something that's already on there. Like there's got to be some unique identifier identifying that disc, from some other disc.
I don't know. That would if something like that existed, it would have put some kind of a hiccup in GameStop's entire business model.
But then it's got to make sure that if you were to sell your game back to somebody else, that the other person would be able to play it. So
exactly.
You actually have 2 copies.
Yeah, it's
no, but that wouldn't. If up until this point, nothing like this has ever been done. So there's like nothing that it would have affected GameStop in any way.
I don't know. I don't know. I feel like you're giving Microsoft too much credit. I don't think they would have thought that far ahead, especially because it's only 100 titles. I can't imagine.
I don't think it's about thinking far ahead. I think that they might have just like any software, they might just have a unique license that is just automatically.
So that disc is no longer being able to be used anywhere, right? Like the disc is useless after that point. Or else I could give it to you and you could put it in your Xbox 360 and that could be your game now. We both have a copy.
That's what I'm assuming.
I think it's gonna be. I think it's just gonna be that if I can't imagine that Xbox is concerned. It's 100 games. Think about the size of the library. Think about the age of the games they're gonna pick. Think about the fact that if we lose out on a couple $1 million, like if we lose out on a couple $1 million because some people get clever and start sharing their games, but we sell because of it, 1 million Xbox Ones. They're going to make up the numbers are like mind-boggling big because you're going to be like, well, yeah, you're still losing probably about $1 billion in people sharing Xbox 360 games instead of buying them, but you're probably going to make 4 or 5 billion in people buying Xbox Ones and Xbox One games, controllers, and all that kind of stuff. So I think that it ends up balancing itself out, even if they are.
I don't think it's going to matter. Like, I don't think the reality is like, I bet there's going to be a lot of people who are like, I'm going to pick up an Xbox One now because I can play my old games, and they're going to have like 3 old games that they want to play, but it's really not that big of a deal. They just want that. I think most people don't actually take advantage of the backwards compatibility. They just want it there. They want to feel like, I didn't have a wasted investment with these previous games.
It's also, the case of the popular gripe. You hear 4 or 5 people say the same complaint. Oh yeah, I was going to get an Xbox One, but it's not backwards compatible. It's just, you just hear.
It's like, how many of those games do you go back to?
Yeah.
On a regular basis. And I don't think Microsoft is probably going to sell more just with the idea of people being like, oh, I'm going to get one now because of it. And then those people are never going to do it, or they'll do it with a couple things. Like, I don't think they're going to lose a lot of money on people, even if there's no way to stop people from renting games and whatever. I don't think that's going to affect them.
They're not going to lose as much money as they're going to make. And
yeah.
I don't want to jump to the other ones because I know we have some stuff we want to talk about here, but I am going to say that this definitely felt like the E3 of fans, the gamers, the players' wishes coming true. Bitching about backwards compatibility on the systems.
Like EA Access.
Yeah, no, people bitching. I'm sorry.
You play.
EA Access, was that not the biggest fucking downer in that entire... Like, everybody was just like, whatever, Peter Moore, get the hell off the stage.
And you're going to have access to all 10 games.
Including Titanfall.
Everyone loves that. Thanks.
Anyway, but no, you have the backwards compatibility. Okay, now you got it. Final Fantasy VII Remake, now you got it. Shenmue 3, now you got it. Last Guardian, now you got it. And then meanwhile, everyone looks at Valve and is like, well, And Valve's like, fuck you have your summer sale.
Well, Valve doesn't come to E3, so it doesn't matter. Valve's their own thing.
I know, but it's just one of those things where it's like all these things that people said were never going to happen, and Valve could just comfortably hang out in the room with the Final Fantasy VII Remake and The Last Guardian and backwards compatibility and just be like, hey, we're not alone. We're comfortable in this room. We're having a little party. We're not going to worry about it. And now everybody's left the party, and the only thing left in that room is Half-Life 3.
And Valve doesn't, but Valve doesn't care. Like Valve will announce it when they want to announce it. It's not like Valve's not like, oh crap, all these other companies announce their thing. Like we can't be left. Like they don't care. Valve's too busy making all that Dota money, so I don't think they really are upset about
Yeah, Dota and Steam and everything else.
And you have to pay for the EA access, right?
No, EA access is free this week.
That's it.
Just this week.
But how much is it?
I think it's normally like 20 something a month.
That is ridiculous.
The only reason you would get EA access is because you like sports games, because it gets you access to Madden, FIFA, NHL, NBA. You get access to or not NBA, because NBA is 2K, but you get access to the other ones, usually about 5 to 6 days before the game releases, and you have full access to it, all, for free, and all these other games. But the games that they're adding, Titanfall and Dragon Age Inquisition, whatever, it's a service that nobody needs, but EA thinks everybody wants, and it's just not true.
They came out there specifically and had him do what they did, like give it away, because they're not having a lot of signups. And I downloaded it on my Xbox One, and I tried to sign in, and it said, oh, you need an Origin ID. I was like, well, I already have one, but I don't have the choice to sign in with my already existing Origin ID, so I have to make a brand new one. So I just immediately uninstalled it. I'm like, I'm not doing that.
See, here's the thing. I already had it all set up. I downloaded it. I went into it. I looked at the library of games. I sat there for a second and was like, oh, I could play these for free. Nah, I'm going to watch Netflix.
How many titles are on this thing?
10.
10 titles. And they're just going to add more as they release more EA games.
Supposedly.
Why would anybody want that unless you completely love EA? It's only EA games?
Yeah, it's only EA games.
Wow, that's so stupid. Especially if it's like $25 a month. I mean, you compare that to the PlayStation Now that they have, where you get like hundreds of games, and that's $20 a month, not by one specific company. Like, that's just a losing game.
EA has a huge catalog. I don't know why they're not reaching into all their old catalog.
EA Access is $4.99 a month.
Okay.
A full year is $30.
Okay, well that's not that bad, but they need to add a whole lot more. Anyway, we can gripe about EA Access another time. Let's talk about what's some other cool stuff that happened. HoloLens?
Yes.
What's up with that?
That
looks cool. I want that when I drive. Minecraft on my dashboard while I'm driving, fantastic. I mean, that's the future.
I'm not a Minecraft player, but it still impressed the pants off me. It really did.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
And what was pretty awesome, they had that See, that's the thing that sold it for me, because they put a camera up there that could see, so we could see exactly what that person with the HoloLens was seeing. Mm. Like, that was very, very smart.
Meanwhile, Sony was like, why didn't we think of that?
And meanwhile, Sony's like, Morpheus, it exists. Anyway.
Here's some video of what it'll look like, but it's just regular video and you don't get to see it live.
Yeah.
But, no, I think what impressed me the most about HoloLens, and my wife, she said it too. We looked at it and we're like, this is the future. Like, this is something that I saw at a trade show about the future of an industry. And for once, it wasn't just, oh, these are the games that are coming out in a year. It was, this is a technology that if you had told me about it when I was a kid in the 90s, that would have been like, that's like future stuff. Like the year 2100 maybe? Like Star Trek holographic coming out of my table. I would never have imagined that by 2015 that would be something we could do. That was it for me. Like, I just saw that, I was like, this is my favorite thing of the show, and I cannot wait. And I've been very skeptical about VR. Oculus, Morpheus, HoloLens.
Shut up.
Well, I mean,
that's crazy.
But HoloLens, I was just like, even like before I saw this, I was just like, it looks cool, but all the videos I'm seeing of the demos and whatnot, you're going to look goofy as hell standing around and doing this, around people, or even when you're alone, if somebody, walks in and sees you standing in front of your table and just like pinching the air, it's going to look weird. But is it worth looking weird to experience this? And this demo was like, yes, I am okay with looking like a weirdo doing this if it means that I'm experiencing what this guy was experiencing.
I'm not worried about looking weird.
Yeah, I'm not worried. Also, like, you have to think, like, this is the first of its kind. I'm sure at a certain point, like, they're going to get this down to where you could get this, like, in your glasses or, in your sunglasses or something like that. That's super exciting. So I was listening. There's a lot of questions about, like, game applications. How can this be used? And I don't have all that's why we have people out there who are smarter than us who can, figure out good applications for this. But I listened to a couple different, testimony or reports, people using it, and like they went to a private showing of it, and they got to wear it, and the first thing they did is they put it on, and the person who had them put it on just said, all right, now find the waypoint and go to it. And so they started looking around, and then they look down the hall, and they said it looked like it was part of this world, a waypoint just sitting at the end of this hall. And they walk down to that waypoint, and the HoloLens knows that you're there. It knows that you've reached that point, and then other things start appearing. And it's just this fascinating. I realize we're not all going to be walking around our house playing these games. I mean, maybe we could. That'd be incredibly cool. But everyone was saying like they're seeing these things projected on the walls that look real. They look like they're actually there, and it doesn't look like just a hologram or something like that.
You can only play games in your house then.
Well, there have been other applications people have talked about, like driving. Obviously, you're gonna look ridiculous wearing that. It's probably illegal or will be illegal to wear something like that.
Yeah, of course it will be. You can't drive with headphones in your ears. You're not gonna be able to drive with friggin' VR glasses on.
But think about the future applications.
Driving through checkpoints, you'd be like doing races and stuff.
Realistic, like having like at some point they can have this built into your windshield, where you're driving along and you want a GPS route, and it just shows you on the ground, on the road in front of you, like follow this green line, and it shows you where exactly.
That's cool, but very unnecessary.
No, it's not. You never have to take your eyes off the road. It's a lot safer. It's a lot easier.
You don't necessarily take your eyes off the road when you have GPS. It tells you when to turn.
Well, they already have cars that have the heads-up display that broadcasts onto the windshield.
Not the same.
It's not the same.
It's not a green line on the road telling you go this direction. Anyway, there's a lot of cool applications to where this could lead, not just gaming wise.
Absolutely. I'm very excited to see where it goes.
Let's talk about real quick, because does anyone have, I have a question because we're talking about VR. Does anybody have any idea what Microsoft partners with Valve VR means?
I don't know. They said it in the thing. They just said, yeah, we're partnering with Valve VR. And I was like, okay. At that point, I had already seen HoloLens, and I was just like, okay, Microsoft, whatever you say.
That just means it's going to be amazing when they partner together.
Well, like, Valve has that Vive that's coming out later this year, which they partner with HTC for. So I don't know what Valve VR is. The only thing I remember them saying is, to pursue virtual reality on Windows 10. So I have no idea what that means.
I don't know.
Devin, you said you were excited about that new Xbox controller that they were showing off, that Elite controller.
Yeah, I kind of was excited until I saw the price.
How much are they charging for it?
$150.
$150.
Jeez.
But I thought they said it came with the new Xboxes.
No.
Is that not?
The new controller that comes with the new Xboxes is the one that has the standard 3.5mm headphone jack.
So it's not this Elite wireless controller.
Yeah, no, it's just the new controller that lets you.
That's stupid. Why not get a Scuff at that point? They're cheaper and they're way more customizable.
I don't know.
Why are they even going up against that company?
Because they think they can, and it's Microsoft, so.
I'm sure they know people will buy it.
It seems cool, but I wouldn't spend $150 on it.
No way. I'd pay like $80 for it, maybe. Like, I know you have to pay like a up price for it, but not $100. It's the same.
I would pay a price.
I'd pay a price.
Yeah, it'd have to be the perfect price.
I understand paying a premium, but like $150 is crazy. But every report I've read about it, people have said it's incredible. There's There's reports of people who've used the scuff, and then whatever that other one is, I can't remember what it's called, and have used the Elite, and they're claiming the Elite is better.
Really?
So I don't know. Yeah, I've read a couple reports like that.
Yeah, it's weird because like whenever I do, whenever I first got my Xbox One, and I was feeling the control, I was like, oh, there's some things I don't like, and then eventually, you just get used to playing it a certain way because that's what you have. You have to use the analog sticks they provided and everything else. I always thought like if I could interchange some of those pieces and kind of feel what's more comfortable, like I think that would be cool. But the problem is, I feel like I go through controllers fairly quickly, and I'm not paying $150 for a controller that I may have to replace in a year or two.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
but yeah, I saw it and I was like, that looks cool. And like I said, I was watching it with my wife, and she was like, "Is that what you want? Do you want one of those for Christmas?"
Is that what you want?
is that what you...
She was like, "No," because she was like, "Is that what you want? Do you want one of those for Christmas?" And at first I was like, "Oh yeah, that'd be kind of cool to have for Christmas." And then I thought about it, and I was like, I don't play any game competitively enough that I need such a level of control that I need like swappable joysticks and swappable D-pads and swappable hair triggers on the back. And I was like, you know what? No, actually, I don't need that. I'm okay. Get me, I don't know, socks. I mean,
That's
Yeah.
You want that or socks?
But as far as games go for that they revealed at the conference, games I'm excited about. Halo 5, maybe.
Heck yeah.
I mean, I wasn't a big fan of the multiplayer beta, but Warzone seems cool. I just really, 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 really hope that the multiplayer feels more like traditional Halo multiplayer. I like some of the stuff they did, not everything, but it has to come back from what they did in Halo 4. I can't forgive that. That was so different and so Call of Duty-ish. Yeah.
This surpasses that. I think kind of goes back to the roots, but gives it a new, fresh take on Halo.
Yeah, like I don't want to get in a big conversation about the
we
Halo
do.
combat, but now is not the time.
That's a separate podcast.
Yeah, but no, with Halo 5, as far as the combat goes, it's less Call of Duty. It's more in the Halo style, but it's finally an evolution of Halo instead of a recreation of Halo.
If they're gonna go in that step, this is the way to go.
Yeah. The big thing they showed off here was Warzone mode, which I don't know how much you guys looked into that. It kind of seems kind of like a conquest battlefield sort of thing. Some people were saying it's a MOBA. It's not a MOBA. Because it has enemies in it kind of like Titanfall, but they're not creeps like a MOBA has. These are guys that are just like defending the bases and stuff. That looks kind of neat. It's like I forget how big the teams are. I think 12 on 12 is.
Yeah,
It's 12 on 12. Yeah.
Okay.
And the maps are like 4 times bigger than the average size map, or maybe this is the biggest map they've ever made on Halo.
I mean, it seemed cool. It just, what it kind of felt like to me? It kind of seemed like, what was it called that they introduced in ODST?
Invasion.
No, not Invasion. The waves of guys, when you were fighting the waves of guys.
Firefight?
It seemed like Firefight versus. They just combined Firefight with versus, deathmatch, team deathmatch.
This is going to be better. Firefight was like you stay in one spot and just fight off waves of enemies. This is a huge map that you're traversing, taking over towers, and also fighting PvP.
There are some neat elements they added in. Like, you can also win by getting to 1,000 points. And one of the ways you can get points is by killing. There will be enemies that are kind of, there will be enemies that are dropped in the world, that kind of elite enemies. And whoever takes them down can get like 200 extra points for killing like this elite monster. But at the same time, you're fighting off other guys trying to take down this elite monster while the other team's trying to take him down as well. I don't know. I think that's kind of a neat idea.
It's going to be a hard balance for them to do, I think, because like how many points do you get for killing a real person as opposed to a bunch of AI? You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I think that'd be a hard balance because like you could just go in and completely destroy bases and kill AI and get the 1,000 points without killing the other team or something like that. So
it might not be that easy to get points, though. We don't know enough yet.
But other games I'm excited about that they talked about, Recore, Cuphead, Beyond Eyes, Tomb Raider, and Gears 4. But I feel so bad saying this because Jared knows, like, my one big thing that I wanted out of E3 was innovation and new IPs. And we definitely got that with Recore. and it's made by good people, like how does he pronounce Inafune?
KJ, I forget how to say his first name, but Inafune is his last name.
All right, well, he does good stuff, and the guys who made Metroid Prime are involved, and Metroid Prime was a huge success. So but I watched
KJ Inafune was the guy behind Mega Man and a lot of other games that people don't know.
Mighty Number 9, which is going to be coming out. But no, I just like awesome new IP. Nothing about what they showed us was.
Again, it's a cinematic trailer. We don't really know. It's like a girl with a dog, and then she takes the core out and puts it in something else. One of the speculations I heard is it's gonna be like a puzzle game where you're like putting the core in different objects, different like mechanical objects, and making them active to kind of solve different puzzles in the world or something. I don't know. That's just speculation.
If it's a puzzle game, I could get behind that. I was worried it was going to just be more like a third-person shooter, and I was like, eh.
We honestly don't know enough. So, I mean, that's just all we know is the trailer.
You know what? If the whole conference had been about Cuphead, I would have been fine. I cannot wait for that game.
Cuphead looks amazing. It's like this for those of you who don't know, it's like this 1930s art style cartoon where it's like a kind of a platformer, but it's
Contra. It's Contra in like a 1920s cartoon, and it's gorgeous. It is so pretty and such a controversial era to be doing.
Yeah, there's nothing but blackface in it. That's all they have.
I mean, that they could have gone that way though. That's the thing. I mean, it's just a very interesting art choice. But Beyond Eyes was an interesting concept.
Yeah, so that's about a blind girl who's searching for her cat, and we don't know. It's kind of like an adventure puzzle game. We don't know a ton of details, but that's a game that's coming out where you basically play a blind girl,
and you use your
this
other
is a black
senses.
Screen the entire time.
It's a white screen, but through other senses, things come like you can get an idea of what's in front of you and what's around you by using your sight, not your sight, your sense of sound and hearing,
But you are seeing, like, the player still sees it. Like, it's not like you're blind.
Well, I mean, you see it as it comes into her perception, of what that sound is. You can't. That'd be a terrible game if the character you were playing was blind, but you could see everything.
Yeah, well,
no, go left. Left,
idiot. You're terrible at this.
Oh man.
We're
going to hell.
No, that looks super interesting.
But yeah, what did you guys think? Those were the ones that really stood out for me.
Dark Souls 3.
Yeah, we didn't get anything from Dark Souls 3.
But Dark Souls 3 though,
it exists. That's
all I need to know, and that it's coming out early 2016. I'm willing to say March.
Until it gets pushed back.
No.
Well, it can't really go any later than March because that's like the end of Q4. So.
Oh, I forgot one. The rare replay disc. I'm super excited about that.
Oh yeah, there's 30 rare games for the 30th anniversary.
30 games for $30, including Perfect Dark, Battletoads, Banjo-Kazooie. I mean, all of this stuff on one disc. That's going to take up so much of my friggin' time. And it's funny because, being at GameStop for the short period of the time I'm still working there, I'm super excited about it. The occasional, customer my age or parent who used to play games is excited about it. The kids that we deal with most of the time, they don't know what any of these games are. They don't care. There's no reason for them to care. But I'm sure you guys are familiar with the old prank where people used to call GameStop and be like, hey, can I pre-order Battletoads?
Yeah.
Yeah. So because of this rare disc coming out, the marketing now is like posters and buttons that say, ask me about reserving Battletoads. And I thought that was kind of there's not a lot that GameStop does that I'm like, oh, haha. But I was like, I'll give that one to them.
Actually, I just saw the clip there. I saw a picture that says, ask me about Battletoads.
Yeah. So I thought that was kind of clever, but I'm super excited. That's such a good deal for some. I mean, now granted, you go to like an exchange or something and try to pick up like Banjo-Kazooie on the N64, it's going to cost you like $12 or $13 because it's a game that everybody likes to play and wants to play. And I bought Banjo-Kazooie when it came out on the 360 for like 10 or $11. So to get it for $1 and 29 other games for $1 a piece, and they're rare games, and rare games pretty much hands down were just good. And if they released, Perfect Dark, how much do you want to bet GoldenEye is going to be on there?
GoldenEye is not actually on there.
Oh, that's so upsetting.
That's one of the things they address, and I was going to bring up. They said that they only put things on there that are original Rare IP, like the original worlds that Rare created. So things like GoldenEye are not going to be on there because that's from, an already existing
licensing issues.
Right. Well, it's not even that. They just said they wanted well, okay, maybe it is that, but they spun it, or at least they said that they wanted to just have this as a look at what Rare has done original, all their original content.
So Conker's going to be on there.
Grabbed by the Ghoulies, junk like that.
But those are all great games.
I don't know. I have no real affinity for any Rare games.
Good old Perfect Dark Zero. Can't wait to play that again.
Well, Perfect Dark Zero, whatever, but the original Perfect Dark was really good.
Yeah.
Now, something Rare is doing that I'm excited for is that new IP that they showed off, Sea of Thieves. That looks pretty cool.
Is it an MMO? It looks like an MMO, a pirate MMO.
MMO in the way that you're stating, no, it's not that type of thing, but it might be a massively multiplayer online game. Basically, what Sea of Thieves is where it's a pirate game, and you and your friends can build your own pirate ships and kind of have your own pirate clans or whatever. I don't know what pirate groups call themselves.
Crew?
Crew, that makes sense. You can have your own pirate crew and battle other pirate crews in the water and land and stuff and shooting each other, and it seems awesome.
A murder of pirates?
Yeah.
I figured you'd be into that one, Jared.
Yeah, that stuff's right up. I mean, I need friends.
But if it's co-op, let's go, baby.
That's going to suck. I'm not going to have enough friends to actually run a crew, but
I mean, you was a good
awesome.
crew. Great crew.
Two-man crew. One person's sailing, the other person's running around firing each other.
On a peg leg.
Call yourselves Milli Vanilli. I don't know. I saw it. It just read MMO to me, and that just turned me off. I was just like, okay, so you can be a pirate, run a pirate ship, but much like Devin was saying earlier, if there's no end game, it's really not going to keep me interested.
Well, we don't know that much about it. I think you're reading into it too much. Like, we just saw that short trailer and got like a little bit of idea. Like, I'm sure
no story. I'm out.
That trailer explained everything, Jared.
There's got to be I'm sure there's like an end game. There's a reason to play. I don't know. It's an online multiplayer game, so any PvP game doesn't really have an end game. So
hopefully there's a lot of fetch quests.
Killing other people is kind of the end game. We gotta kind of keep moving here, but before
I think we should break
on,
this up into 3 different segments: Microsoft, Sony, and Nintendo, and everything else in between.
All right. Well, I want to hit one more thing. I think that was a big deal at the Microsoft conference, which was the Xbox preview, which is essentially Microsoft's version of early access games. So they're going to, and I heard an interview with Phil Spencer about this and got some more details about it. So those of you who know anything about PC gaming, on Steam, they have an early access program where developers can put up their games, before they're finished, and, before they're in an actually finished state, and people can buy into them early. Typically at a lower price than what they will be when they're finished, and it gives them a way to kind of play the games early, give the developers feedback, and, they can kind of help in the development of it. Microsoft's looking to do that with Xbox Preview. They're looking to do things a little bit differently. Steam's kind of become the Wild West, somewhat. I guess Microsoft is looking to take and really be very careful, be very hands-on, and really curate the list of people that are allowed to come on there. But I think that's a huge thing. I'm really curious how that's even going to work on consoles, because Microsoft is so strict with their updating, and the certification that you have to go through for every tiny update that's done. Early access games are, for developers who are really working on it, I mean, they have updates going out almost every day, with certain developers. So that seems like that's not something I don't know how that's going to work.
It takes days to go through Xbox just for them to verify the fact that they can have the update.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's move on. Let's hit up Sony. and see if there's anything big that Sony talk. Oh, I guess the one thing we missed with Microsoft real quick is mods. There's going to be mod support. Just to touch on it a little bit earlier, they're going to also allow mods to start coming on to the Xbox One. We don't know specifics yet, how that's going to be done. Again, I think that's something huge that Microsoft has really taken a lot. Microsoft has taken a lot of steps to really accommodate console gamers in a way that Sony hasn't, and no other console has up to this point.
I gotta say, I was a little surprised they didn't bother to touch on Windows 10 when they started talking about PC mods and stuff. That they didn't even bother to talk about Windows 10 on the Xbox.
Had some conference.
Yeah. Well, they didn't. I don't know. They didn't get into mods too much, so we don't know all the details of that. So maybe they'll talk about Windows 10 more when.
I have no idea how it's going to work. Mods on the Xbox One.
Yeah. I don't know either. But hey, at least someone's trying. That's cool. Mods are awesome.
They definitely extend the life of a game, that's for sure.
So Sony, we got some huge surprises out of Sony.
Oh yeah, like what?
Oh yeah,
surprises.
As Justin mentioned earlier, one of the games that has pretty much become a joke at this point was The Last Guardian. There's always the joke of, is The Last Guardian going to be here at every E3? And this was the one that we actually got to see it, and we got 6 minutes of in-game gameplay.
You did
not I want that, bro.
You definitely just said in-game gameplay.
I just want people to be very clear that it was in-game and it was gameplay.
In-game trailers.
Except that no, Jared, you didn't say in-game gameplay. You said in-game gameplay.
Even better. Well, I'm just projecting, honestly.
Gameplay.
Oh man.
Yeah, there was a lot of bestiality going on in that demo. It was hot.
Hanging from them tails.
No, I think that everything that wasn't like the big surprise announcements at Sony was a general letdown. Hitman looked cool. Street Fighter V being an exclusive to the PlayStation. Okay, so you'll get some fighters, but whatever.
Dreams from Media Molecule. What the heck is that? No one knows.
No one knows.
Dreams. You can make an ugly dude playing the piano, or a bear with an ugly dude's body playing the piano.
That was a little creepy.
Or you could just not play this stupid game.
Well, that's Media Molecule's whole thing. It's like, we created this platform where you can make all these levels, and you can make a platformer and stuff like that. I mean, it plays not very well, but at least you can create all this stuff. I mean, that's their whole MO, is just making platforms in which people can create other things in.
No Man's Sky? Heck yeah.
The guy who I forget his name, but he's the best person to have on stage giving that thing. He's just like, well, I'm just gonna do, like, he's not, every other demo at E3 is very carefully constructed, and
they read from
a lot of times
and stuff.
Right, and there's always questions of, are they actually playing this? And he just gets up there and is like, whatever, I'm just gonna play it.
Yeah.
The coolest guy to have on stage at an E3 conference was the guy that was at, I think it was Ubisoft, not EA. But it was, did you guys see that one? And we're not going to talk about it as part of this, but the guy who came up and was like, it was previewing the game about like where ninjas and soldiers and like all these different types of fighters could fight each other.
That was For Honor.
Yeah, that guy was like, he was so like batshit out of his mind, but he was so entertaining to watch.
Just going on a tangent real quick about For Honor, one of the funny things is like, that they're talking about how that game is an original idea. It's brand new. No one's ever done it. It's like, I can name like 7 games now.
There was History Channel's Deadliest Heroes. Or Deadliest Warriors. Yeah.
That was more of a fighting game, like a one-on-one fighting game. But there have been things like Mount & Blade and War of Roses and Chivalry and all these other games that are just like that. So it's funny how defensive.
Different, Jared.
Yeah, in interviews, I saw them get very defensive, where someone's like, so it looks like you took a lot of inspiration from things like Mount & Blade, and the guy got real serious, he's like, no, this is an original idea. It's like, okay, dude, it's not.
There might be some original ideas inside of it, just because it's like in medieval and it's like fighting like that. I think maybe they got some inspiration. It's kind of stupid that they're getting all defensive about it, but they might have some original ideas in there.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, the Shenmue 3 announcement, I didn't play Shenmue or Shenmue 2, but I can understand, I mean, I know about the hype and how big a deal it is, but was I the only one that was a little surprised that they weren't just like, why? I don't understand the Kickstarter thing at E3. That just seemed unnecessary when they could have just been like, it's coming. We're a multi-billion-dollar company. We're paying for it.
Well, no, because this is something you see a lot. Like, for example, with Bloodstain, which is that Castlevania. How can I not remember anyone's name? The guy who developed Castlevania. You guys know who I'm talking about. Iga.
Yeah.
He needed, like, I forget how much it was. He needed a certain amount of money just to prove to a publisher that, hey, there's still interest in this game. So, like, he didn't need whatever it was, like $500,000 to actually fund, because, like, you're not going to make it, like, Shenmue 1 was made for, like, $67 million in, like, 1998. You're not going to make Shenmue 3 for $2 million. Like, the whole idea was, we wanted to put this out here, because it's funny, Sony, Adam Boyce from Sony's just like, hey, we have nothing to do with the Kickstarter, we just want to tell you guys about it, go check it out. And then it becomes the fastest funded game, on Kickstarter. And then Sony's like, oh yeah, by the way, we are funding it now. Like, that's pretty much all they were looking for.
Yeah.
Just
They came out and said
sure.
they were independent too.
Yeah,
Just
on
until,
the stage,
yeah.
but once it got funded, they're like, "Oh yeah, no, we're helping."
We
with
lied to you.
development." Well, they wanted to make sure that it was actually something.
We want to make
that
sure we're
people
getting
wanted.
your money.
Full disclosure: I contributed to Shenmue 3. I love Shenmue, and it may be nostalgia. I don't care. Sony was all about nostalgia for me this time because I love Shenmue, and I'm super excited to play the third one. So
What is Shenmue about? I never played it.
it's about the four voodoo, and you have to find your father and the guys who murdered your father.
Was Shenmue
And-
2 the one that had that French actor in it?
Maybe. I don't know what you mean.
There was a game, and it came out, I don't even remember. Now I'm going to look it up and see what. Because there was a game. No, it wasn't.
Are you talking about Onimusha 3?
Yeah, was that the one that had he had that famous French actor in it?
Yeah, the guy from Leon the Professional.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's Onimusha 3.
Well, it had the MU in it. So.
Shenmue is cool. You got a black dude that sells you hot dogs. He's the only black guy in the game because he's the only black person allowed in Japan. And you get to move crates around. It's in a forklift, and it's awesome.
That sounds like these new Steam reviews. It's like, yeah, black guy hot dogs, forklift, 10 out of 10.
Yep. Speaking of nostalgia, something that has been long rumored, something that is very dear to my heart.
Oh,
Plants vs. Zombies Garden Warfare.
Yeah.
Garden Warfare 2. Yes! Finally!
Black
I've waited
Ops
so
3.
long for that. And Black Ops 3. No, we're talking about Final Fantasy 7.
no one
Remake.
cares.
Final Fantasy 7
Justin doesn't care.
is a great game.
Is that
It's
our
finally
new,
getting remade.
Is that our new judge system? Justin doesn't care.
Justin doesn't care, so we're not going to talk about it.
Justin doesn't care, so let's move on.
Wait, Justin,
No.
do you like Final Fantasy VII?
I enjoyed Final Fantasy VII. My favorite was Final Fantasy X, but it's definitely one of those games that I enjoyed, and I certainly could get behind the remake movement, because it's definitely a game. The story was compelling enough, the characters were good, the graphics, now are going to be phenomenal.
I was going to say, 7 looked like garbage at the time.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So the graphics now will be, up to snuff, and that'll be cool. I can get behind that. Justin cares.
If they change it to
this
like
is
a
an official
first-person shooter,
endorsement.
I'd be
Justin
okay with it.
cares.
We'll put that, that's a box quote, if anything.
Yeah.
Are they changing the combat though? Because if they did that, then maybe I'd pick it up and play it.
No way.
Can it
The
be like
combat was
first
one of the best
person or
things
third person
about...
shooter type thing?
Who's correcting my Shenmue right now? Shenmue 4?
Who's correcting my Shenmue?
What was I saying?
You were saying about the combat.
Yeah,
they
they're
need
not
to
gonna
change the
that.
combat. I mean, it looks like they changed the graphics a good deal. I mean, it looks
No,
good.
Devin, you're an idiot. You sound like an idiot right now.
Here's the thing, you know what killed Final Fantasy for me when they went from turn-based combat to the active time battle system. So I hope they don't change it. I hope it is turn-based because I am really itching for a good turn-based JRPG, and there are just so few of them anymore.
There are no JRPGs that come out anymore. That's a joke because there are so many. It's retarded. No, they're not changing that, Devin. Shut up. You speak like an idiot. The Final Fantasy VII, they are making a remake of it though, so it's not going to be just a remaster. That's one of the things they said. I mean, don't worry, you're still going to get cloud cross-dressing. That's still in there. But there are some other elements that it's not going to be one for one. So they're going to, there's going to be some changes made. So that's cool. It's going to be a slightly different game.
But it's
maybe
Ares
doesn't die.
No turn-based would be nice, actually.
That's not going to change.
It better.
How do you know?
Because that's
it's like a remake. They could do whatever they want.
They're not going to. They better not. They're going to.
I hope they do, and you get all pissed.
Square is stupid, so I don't know. That's very possible that they might do something like that. Who knows?
Why did they not unveil that at the Square Enix?
Because it's coming first to PS4.
And big.
So I guess it's like a big exclusive.
And big, that's an E3 kind of an announcement.
Yeah. Also, like 6 people showed up to the Square Enix thing.
6 people?
Yeah. Did you guys watch the Square Enix conference?
Yeah.
It was the most unbearable thing I've ever seen.
I didn't watch it.
I mean,
it was just like, Japan doesn't know how to run anything. Just like, we're announcing this game. It comes out in 2018, and all we have is this one piece of concept art, and we don't actually have it named yet, but it's going to be the next Nier game. I'm going to talk about it for the next 15 minutes.
I can't speak English yet either, so good luck.
Yeah, and the guy who's translating keeps screwing up.
Completely boring.
Turns out the guy who's translating it is just somebody they found on the street.
The Square Enix conference, they kept announcing games that are coming out years down the line and have nothing to tell about
Is
it.
Nier like... I know what Nier is, but was that a huge game for a lot of people? I didn't know that was a big hit.
I just saw somebody buy a copy of it the other day, and I was like, I forgot this thing was even a thing.
Yeah, the people who like Nier really like Nier, but the people who like Nier are very small in number.
And in stature.
Well, since we're talking about the Square Enix one, I want to play some Star Ocean. I cannot wait for that next game to come out.
Yeah, I noticed you put that on the list, and I forgot about that.
Yes.
Have you played any other Star Ocean before?
Yeah, dude. We played it together.
I don't remember that.
Okay.
Speaking of stars, Star Wars Battlefront.
Yeah.
Did you guys hear?
Awesome.
Did you guys hear about the how they got the really accurate costumes and props and stuff in the game?
No, nerd. I don't care about that.
Oh, Justin cares. That's our rating system. Justin cares.
Actually, I mean that's cool, but I just want I want it to feel like I'm actually in a Star Wars battle.
Well,
that's all I want.
I mean, that's how. I mean, I don't know what I saw of it. That's how it's gonna feel.
It looked like crap to me.
You're an idiot, Devin.
It didn't look that good at all. I was just like, this is like stupid.
Devin, all you said was it, and while you were talking, Jared, it's like, you're an idiot.
I knew what was coming. Devin's the worst.
Oh, that's because I told him before whenever we were watching it.
Yeah, that's true.
I was like, this is crap. Like, I'm not interested.
It looks great.
Dude,
it sounds great.
It's a desert, so for what it's worth, I guess it can look great.
What are you talking about? There's a Hoth level. That was like one of the main ones they showed off.
And the combat looks actually pretty dumb. First person, like the shooting on it, stupid.
Shut up.
It does. It all looks pretty dumb. Like I guarantee it looks like it handles like complete crap.
Have you ever played a Battlefield game?
Yes.
They handle fantastic. They don't handle terribly.
I played You said Battlefield, but I played Battlefront. Yes.
I'm just glad to be here.
It's made by DICE, the people who make Battlefield. It's going to handle like a Battlefield game.
Battlefield, Battlefront, Battleborn.
Battleborn, Beetleborgs.
Battlecry.
Battlecry, that looks stupid. TF2 ripoff.
Anyway.
Star Wars Battlefront looks great. The sound design sounds great. The one thing that was disappointing is that they didn't show a inside view of the AT-AT. I'm glad we get inside views of the other ships, but I want to see a bunch of people up in that AT-AT shooting out and all this stuff. I want to see what that cockpit view looks like.
It's not about you, Jared.
It is about me.
It's not about what you want. Shut up.
Well, that was good. Let's wrap this up.
We're not done yet. We're just beginning. Hour 3. Predictions for E3 2016.
We're just getting started. We haven't even talked about like that episode of Mr. Rogers that was on PBS the other day.
I got a whole kinds of content here.
Nintendo can be summed up in like a sentence. The Nintendo digital event made me realize all the things I want that I don't need. Cause like I don't have a Wii U, but pretty much like everything they showed, I was like, I don't want a Wii U. I don't want to buy your games, but I want all of your accessories, and I just, and I'm just obsessed with what you're doing. Because, like, Star Fox Zero, okay, cool. Triforce Heroes, I wasn't really into.
What?
But, I mean, I wasn't a fan of the Minish Cap games, and it just felt like another,
Minish Cap has nothing to do with
It's
this.
not Minish Cap.
You mean the Four Swords games?
Oh, the Four Swords games, yeah, where it was the multiple links.
Hey, Nintendo, everyone loves Metroid Prime. No one cares about Metroid Prime Federation Force.
Yeah, that was a weird announcement. And
What the heck?
Happy Home Designer, Animal Crossing Real Estate Simulation.
Nice. The Sims.
But no, I mean, like, those... Jared and I were talking about this was it last night? Those Yarn Yoshi amiibos, I'm literally going to buy every single one of them I come across. And the 8-bit Mario amiibo, I'm going to get one of those too. And I don't have a Wii U, and I don't have any games that I can use those amiibos on, but I will step on children to get to those Yarn Yoshi amiibos.
It's hot.
That's how bad I want them.
Super Mario Maker, though. Come on.
Yeah, Super Mario
You're
Maker
gonna wish you had a
seems
Wii U.
pretty cool.
Super Mario Maker, it looked cool conceptually. I'm not big into building games, like we said. You know what did it for me about Super Mario Maker was just seeing how passionate the developers were, you know?
You mean when they made the original Mario?
Yeah, when they were talking about, showing off all the original graphing paper and all that. That was just like the moment that they were having when they were talking about it, and just how passionate they are about bringing this ability to the forefront. Even, 30 years later, when people, kids only passingly know about what the original NES Super Mario was like, they were just still so passionate about it. And it just reminded me, like, how proud I was, not only to be a gamer, but, like, how proud I was to be a game, someone who plays games that was alive, not 30 years ago, but 28 years ago when these games were just coming out, and getting to... I'm
not 30 yet, guys!
No, but it just made me really proud to say that when they showed all those Mario games, I'm like, yeah, I played all of those. And those are the building blocks that got us to where we are today. And I don't know, that's what I'm saying. Nintendo they know how to, the puppets thing got old super fast and got weird. The puppets thing got weird.
That's when it got good.
Yeah, that was a good part.
The weirder it got, that's better. That's what I like.
Like the opening with the Star Fox stuff, okay, but I think there was like one segment that had like nothing to do with anything, and it was just
fantastic.
It was just like, what? Who was it? It wasn't. Which one was the one in the suit?
I don't know.
Well, anyway, it was just him in his office by like a bonsai tree, and just like water running, and then he turned to the camera and like clapped. And then it was Animal Crossing Amiibo Festival.
Yeah, that's great. Nintendo's weird.
Yep.
That stuff's great. I want more of that. That's all I want from Weird Nintendo.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's bring this thing into a landing. Is there anything else that we want to quickly talk about from any other thing? I quickly want to say, EA is boring, and Aisha Tyler needs to stop hosting Ubisoft.
Yes,
that's all I gotta say.
yes, and that could be a whole nother podcast. Aisha Tyler is like the worst thing that ever happened to the Ubisoft press conference.
Bring back Mr. Caffeine.
Hashtag bring back Mr. Caffeine. South Park, The Fractured Butthole. Or The Fractured Butthole. Trey Parker and Matt Stone. The two of them could go sit on a spike. I'm so sick and tired of their bullshit. Okay?
They're edgy, Justin.
I liked The Stick of Truth. I thought it was a good game. It was a competent RPG, and it had enough classic South Park in it that I enjoyed the heck out of it. And I like the idea of moving into the superheroes with Coon and friends, but there is absolutely no reason this game needs to be called The Fractured Butthole. The only reason they're calling it that is because they're immature. They think it's funny to force, that into the gaming, discussion. And But also just that they were like, after South Park Stick of Truth, they're like, that was hard, and we're never going to make another game ever again. And then they're like, but then we realized we had the maps made, so it would be super easy to make a second game. But just to show that we didn't enjoy it, we're calling it The Fractured But Whole. And, it's just...
I think it's a pretty good name, actually, the way they word it.
But what does that have to do with superheroes?
I don't know. You don't know that yet.
What does that have to do with superheroes?
Because that's the point of the game.
Superheroes are fractured.
Stick of Truth had to do with, fantasy and stuff like that, and it was, but I don't know. I'm gonna play it. I like South Park games, because, the Stick of Truth was fun enough that I'll be interested in trying it, but just frustrates the hell out of me. The Fractured Butthole. Go fuck yourself.
Wow. That was mature.
I'm sorry. It just, when I saw it, I was just like, are you kidding me? And then that just gave Aisha Tyler all this, she just started running with it. And
she's a weird character to be hosting anything.
Hey, Devin,
What?
make a meme with me.
Make a meme right now, guys.
Let's make a meme right now.
All right.
Let's make a meme.
Let's do it.
What are you? Let's make a meme. Wow, that was so cool, guys. I do play video games, guys. Believe it. I think decapitations are cool. I love video games.
Hashtag make a meme.
She's unbearable.
There's too many games to talk about, really. Like, I'm excited for a lot of games, and I'm surprised there's a lot of new IPs coming from all these different companies. I thought it was a great E3.
We forgot. There's two things I want to touch on real quick.
Nope.
Horizon
What about
Zero
it?
Dawn. That looks so cool. It is a new IP from Guerrilla Games. It looks so interesting. It's like this, what they're calling is post-apocalyptic, meaning the apocalypse has happened, but it's like post-apocalyptic thing.
She was fighting those dinosaurs or whatever. Those
Robot dinosaurs.
robot
dinosaurs. They're not all dinosaurs. There's I don't know. It seems interesting. It's a new IP, and it looks like it's got some interesting elements to it. The fact that she was not just shooting just a normal enemy, but she had to use a lot of different tactics while trying to take down this dinosaur. It felt like almost like Monster Hunter-esque in the fact that you had to work hard to use different like she's shooting these things and like sticking them into the ground to hold it in place, and then shooting certain areas and attacking it in a certain way to kind of bring it down. And it's just,
do you even like
there's
Monster Hunter?
I like it in theory. What I saw looked really interesting of how they would take those animals down. So I think that's really neat.
No, I think that's definitely that's one that I'm going to keep my eyes out for. But that's a PlayStation game exclusively, wasn't it?
Sony. Yeah.
Yeah, Guerrilla Games, who did the Killzone games.
Yeah.
We'll see how that works, because I don't like the Killzone games, so.
What was the other thing that you...
Well, they're not even the same, so I don't know.
Well,
one other thing I was just going to make note of is that we just... And a lot of people, whether this is good or bad, or... Well, not really good or bad. This year, it's looked like we're seeing a lot more variety. Not only in the IPs, but also in the characters that we're playing. And I think that's a really exciting thing, because I think we've seen that a lot in the independent space, but we haven't seen that in the big budget space as much, and I just think that's pretty cool. So we're just getting a lot of variety of types of characters we're playing now. And none of it feels pandering. We're playing as different types of characters, but it doesn't feel, like we're trying to pander to anyone. It just feels like these characters fit.
Yeah.
So I think that's
a
cool thing.
That's kind of a good summary for E3 as a whole. This was the year where it felt like everything fit well. Like, this is a good time for everything that was announced. There was nothing that I was like, why are we wasting our time with this? This is not innovative. This is not new. Everything just sort of was, this was the E3 where I can look back and go, I am looking forward to the next 6 to 9 months. Except for the fact that November is going to bleed everybody dry. There's so much coming out in November.
There's too many games to talk about. Yeah, overall, I think this was a pretty awesome E3 after a few different disappointing E3s. If you want some more in-depth coverage, there's tons of sites out there, tons of content where you can get more details on that. But that was just our opinions on some of the the showings of E3. Look forward to E3 2016, where we'll be there.
Yes, that's what I was going to say. This year we kind of started right before E3. We didn't get to really dig in and get up underneath it and, come out with some good content, but that's why we did this podcast. So next year though, we hope to be there and really be creating some stuff. But yeah, this is one episode of many. We're going to be talking about all kinds of different geek stuff on here. So if you liked listen to us talk, come back for another episode. We're going to have Jason on here with us. You'll meet him in a future episode if you don't remember him from Pixel Perfect. And if you guys have any idea what we should call this podcast, please email us.
Well, I actually have a podcast email that we can use.
Oh, okay.
So anything podcast related, you have any questions, if you have any topics like news items that you think are worthy for us to talk about. And this one, while this particular podcast, we talked about E3 and strictly about video games, in the future we're going to be branching out, talking about a lot of different things.
Yeah, movies, TV, tech, games, a little bit of everything. So please, hit us up with any ideas you have or what you want to hear. And I know that I keep repeating this on all of our social media, but, we really do want to build a community with this site. We really do want to make this a big community, a home for people who identify with the idea of being a grown-up geek. And the quicker and the sooner we do that, the cooler stuff we're going to be able to do. Be it podcasts or live, podcasts at different conventions and stuff like that. The quicker we build this community, and I know that the community is out there just waiting for somewhere to call home, it's just going to be an awesome experience for everybody. So, make sure you follow us, at the Grown Up Geeks on Twitter, the Grown Up Geek on Facebook. We're building a Pinterest through our lifestyle section, that's getting there. So just, our YouTube and all that kind of stuff. Just definitely, share it with your friends, follow it yourself, leave us comments. We appreciate the feedback. It's just, there's a lot of really cool stuff we want to do, and we hope that you stick around with us, long enough to let that happen.
Yeah, and that email address, it's podcast@thegrownupgeek.com. Any feedback you have, any, topics or questions, send it there.
Including names. We need to name this goddamn podcast.
Yeah, if you have any original name, ideally that doesn't have geek in it, let us know. But if it has geek in it, not a big deal. But also, right now you're probably listening to this on thegrownupgeek.com. In the very near future, we will be on, iTunes and Stitcher and all that other junk. So you will be able to listen to us through whatever pod-catching service you prefer.
Yep. So stay tuned. Cool things are coming. This is the beginning of something big. So, awesome. Thanks, guys. This was a good chat.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys. This is a good chat, guys.
Thanks, guys. Thanks, Dad.
We're going to have to definitely not end on that. That was a shitty ending.
Jerry will figure it out.
Can I keep you? That's a Casper reference.
Okay.
Check out Casper 1995. It's a classic.